Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital.
Now before I begin, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications. Imagine this. You've pulled over for the night on your grand RV adventure across the Southwest. You're taking the long way through Arizona so that you can soak in the vast expanses of undeveloped desert. And you plan to boondock on BLM land along the way. Not only will this save you money, but you get a chance to see the true desert sky, unhindered by the otherwise omnipresent glare from city lights. Just before evening, you pull over a few hundred feet from the road on a flat expanse of desert far from any structures. It's just you and the desert and the sky. Unpacking your dinner, you plan to set up a table outside, hoping to catch the desert sunset. While getting the plates out, you casually glance out the window of your RV and see a black spot in the distance. The first car in over an hour to appear on the main road. As the car approaches, it suddenly veers off the highway, heading straight for you. You can see the car clearly now, a big old truck with peeling paint and two large, dark figures in the front seat. Alarmed, you check your phone. No signal. You move to lock the RV door, but your spouse stops you and says, "I'll go see what they want." With that, your partner opens the door and heads out alone to meet the car, just now grinding to a halt in front of your camp. What happened next? I'll let you know at the end of this video. But don't worry too much, for boondocking is remarkably safe, and the ability to camp in beautiful and remote locations is perhaps one of the biggest benefits of owning an RV. So if you are thinking of heading out on your grand boondocking adventure, here are some of the things you should know. First of all, let's define boondocking. Boondocking refers to dry camping on public land. This means you're camping outside of a designated campground, where there is no infrastructure and no utility hookups. It is the adventure version of RVing. Number 2, many public lands allow boondocking, and this is one of the great benefits of this country's vast network of publicly owned land. The National Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, and Department of Fish and Wildlife all have thousands of acres of land where free camping is allowed. Number 3, boondocking is a great option that not only saves you money, but also gives you the opportunity to get off the beaten path. However, because you're outside of regular campgrounds, and often in remote areas, there are some guidelines you should follow. While boondocking is often allowed on public lands, some parks may have rules about where you can boondock and also whether you need a backcountry permit. So check the rules for the park where you will be boondocking before you settle down for the night. When you're boondocking, you will often be traveling down roads that are not in the best of condition. And depending on the size and condition of your vehicle, you will often encounter roads that your vehicle may not be able to handle. So before turning down an unknown road, explore on foot a ways to make sure that your vehicle can handle the terrain. Also, check the maps and do some surveillance or read up on reviews of the area to make sure that your vehicle can turn around before you head down the road. You don't want to be in a situation where you've traveled 15 miles down a road, realized you can't make the rest of the way, and then have to back out 15 miles to get to a point where you can safely turn around. It's also important to keep weather in mind. Before you head down a rough road, check the weather conditions for the night and day ahead. A road that you may be able to traverse in good weather could easily become impassable after a rainstorm. So if you are expecting rain, stick to roads that you know you will be able to traverse, even in bad conditions. While many people boondock because they like the appeal of being far away from others in untapped wilderness, it's still a good idea to try to boondock with at least a few other people. Rather than blazing a trail yourself, check which spots tend to be the most popular for boondockers, so that you know that you will be camping with at least one other person around. After all, you could be far away from help, and you will want assistance if something breaks down or goes wrong. And in a similar vein, it is not a good idea to boondock in an area where you don't have cell service. Again, if something goes wrong, you will want to be able to reach help. Number 4, boondocking is essentially camping, and so you will want to follow the same rule that campers follow when hiking in backcountry areas. Leave no trace of yourself when you pack up. This means picking up and taking all the trash you have generated with you. On the flip side, don't remove any natural items from the site, including seeds, leaves, rocks, etc. It may seem harmless when the entire area is covered with a plethora of rocks and leaves, but if everyone does it, this can quickly erode the environment. As I mentioned earlier, stick to existing trails and roads and boondocking sites. Again, while you may be tempted to try to blaze your own trail and find the most remote location possible, this can both put you at danger and also damage the natural environment that you so love. It's also a good idea to speak with a park ranger before picking a boondocking spot for the night. While established boondocking spots are generally the best place to camp, there may be a few that have been overused in which rangers want to rest in order to help the natural environment heal. Now, you are out in the wild, but this doesn't mean that you can go ahead and dump even your gray water tank on the ground. Again, don't leave any trace of yourself. You don't know what reaction any soap or cleaning material will have on the natural environment. Out of all the rules here, this is perhaps the most important. Don't start a forest fire. Before going to bed, make sure you drown all fires and double check them. Even a few smoldering embers can start a fire. And finally, don't feed the animals, either passively or actively. Don't throw food out for animals to eat, but also don't leave your food lying around where an animal can come and steal it. This advice is very important, and it's both for your own safety and for the safety of the wildlife. Keep all food locked up, preferably in your RV, where its smell will be contained and animals cannot get at it. And number 5, be prepared before you boondock. Again, you are away from the typical infrastructure available at a regular campsite or RV park. This means you need to put a little more effort into ensuring that you will be safe and protected. Make sure that you have enough food, water, and toiletries to last not only for the time that you expect to be boondocking, but for a few extra days in case unexpected bad weather hits and you are stranded. Download a map of the area before you head out. While we mentioned that you will want to stick to areas where you have cell service, when you are in remote parts of the country, you should expect that cell service will be spotty. Therefore, you'll want to have a map that is preloaded and does not rely on a cell signal so that you know where you are at all times. Make sure you have backup power, whether this is a generator or a solar system. Clean out your wastewater tanks before boondocking. As I mentioned earlier, you don't want to dump your wastewater tanks at your boondocking site, and you don't want to be in a situation where your tanks are overflowing. And then always have certain basic tools available in case of emergency. At a bare minimum, have a fully stocked first aid kit handy at all times, a toolbox that will allow you to do basic repairs, a two-way radio, and extra fuel. But let's return to our desert standoff. When we last left off, your spouse had just left your RV. From the window, you see your partner walk over to the car. You can't make out the conversation, but you see the figure in the car lean over as if to grab something. Nervously, you begin searching for your can of bear spray, the only item you can think of to offer some protection. With your back to the window, you hear the car start up and drive away. You rush out the door with your bear spray and find your spouse bent over in the empty desert. But your partner isn't doubled over in pain. As you approach, your spouse hands you a copy of the Watchtower. He's been laughing. It seems that even in the most remote corner of Arizona, you can't escape the Jehovah's Witnesses. Believe it or not, this is a true story. So a big shout out to boondockerswelcome.com, where I found this tale. Do you have any stories about boondocking? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce land due diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down properties at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.